as many of you know, I enjoy reading a wide variety of books, styles, a lot of mysteries, adventures, but I also do a lot of church reading. Well, and especially when it comes to preparing for Sunday's message. Well, this week I really dove into some very deep theological writings or readings by Calvin and Hobbes. I was reading through, we have several of the Calvin and Hobbes collections, and I just needed to sit down and just kind of relax a little bit. So I'm reading Revenge of the Babysat. And in there, Calvin is griping. He goes, I just can't enjoy my Sundays. In the back of my head, I know that tomorrow is school. And I just can't enjoy today knowing that I've got to go back tomorrow. It's kind of like having the meal before your last meal before your execution. And I'm thinking, wow, in many ways, that sums up the mindset of a lot of people for Sundays. That Sunday is the end of the weekend. That I've got to go back to work tomorrow. And now I have to sit for my final meal before I face the executioner, aka my boss. Like how significant is that this is our mindset? And from Calvin and Hobbes, this is coming from a 6-year-old boy. If we turn it around, which we've been doing a lot with lately, but if we turn it around and say, Sunday is not the last day of the weekend, but Sunday is the first day of my week. And as such, it's going to be the best day of the week. How does that change Monday's attitude? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to take out of Isaiah 58, and really the last two verses that we're going to read are key verses. But I'm going to start with Isaiah 58, verse 9. The scripture reads, Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, Here am I. If you do away with the yoke of oppression with a pointing finger and malicious talk, but if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs, a sun-scorched land, and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose water never failed. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called the repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. And if you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath, from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight, not the last meal before the execution, and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it not by going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, then you will find your joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride on the heights of the land, and to the feast of your inheritance of your father Jacob. The mouth of the Lord has spoken. Thanks be to God. Amen. Our culture today really brings us to a point where we're just going 24/7. And so I thought, let me do a little bit of research this week. Why is it it that we're so tired? If we're really going as bad as we are, then why do we not just wisen up and slow down? And so I thought, let me see how badly the sleep levels have gotten. Do you realize that the average amount of sleep in the United States is 8.5 hours a night? Not a week, a night. 8.5 hours is the average. Well, if our body needs 8 hours of sleep, they say 7 to 9, and we're actually on the farther side of that scale, why are we tired? Well, it must be that we're working so much more. So I looked into that. The United States falls almost dead center in the world as for hours worked over the course of the year. And if you average it out, it comes to less than 5 hours a day. So if we're not working that much, and we're getting sleep, why are we so worn out? Well, I went into the third round. And a lot of it deals with the fact that we overbook our time, especially younger families in middle class and more affluent families. Statistically, 81% of our kids are involved in multiple extracurricular activities. That means we're working, and then it's run with our kids. Either we're taking our kids or we're following our grandkids. We're doing things with them, and then we're going to bed. And the fact that our society has become such a pluralistic, diverse society, we can no longer say that we can't have things on Sunday morning because that's not fair to those of the Jewish faith, to those who are Hindu, to the Muslims, to all the others. We can't do that to them because then we're actually elevating Christianity to a more superior level, which we won't talk the politics of that. But in a diverse society, how do we say, well, we can honor this religion, but not the others? Do we not have events on Saturday? Because our Jewish brothers and sisters worship and have their Sabbath then. How do we go about this? It comes down to the fact that we as Christians, we as children of God, have to realize the significance of taking a Sabbath, a day off. Typically, for us, it is Sunday. We recognize Sunday as the Lord's Day, the day that Christ was resurrected and totally turned the world upside down, totally reconciled the world to God. For the Jewish community, Saturday, from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday, their Sabbath is holy. And they set aside for that day. Senator Joe Lieberman, used to be a senator from Kentucky, was asked in a documentary, he says, how is it that you can afford to take a day off with as busy as you are? And his response was simple. how can I afford not to? How can I afford not to take a day off? For I have been designed to work 6 days and to rest on the seventh. We know that as a commandment, the fourth commandment. Honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. So I thought, let me do a little research on that this week. From what I gathered, it is the most repeated set of directions in one fashion or another of all the commandments. Yes, we are to love the Lord your God with all our heart, soul, strength, and mind. But 12 times throughout the Bible, the scriptures say you are to work 6 days. And the seventh you are to rest. You are not to work. Your manservants, your maidservants are not to work. Your cattle, your livestock are not to work. Your children are not to work. You are to take a day off. God set the example for us by starting and saying, you need to rest. Look, it took me 6 days to build the universe. Even I took a day off. "12 times we are told this. We know that in Scripture, if it comes up over and over and over again, you better pay attention. Because God's trying to get something across to you. But yet, we wander through the desert just like the Israelites. We wander aimlessly and hopelessly thinking that we know best. It doesn't matter that, I spend time today getting some work done. Maybe I'll start on next week's sermon this afternoon. Doesn't matter. I'm sitting there and I'm kind of working on it while I'm watching the football game. I'm resting. But I'm not. God says, stop. Not slow down. Not kind of tinker at work while you do other things. Stop. Put it away. Pick up Calvin and Hobbes and just read for fun. Watch the football game. And don't get overly stressed if the Eagles play like they have the last several weeks. Enjoy it for the game that it is. For when we stop, we put everything aside. Our body gets a chance to release the stress. Our body gets a chance to relax. How many times do you sit there trying to loosen the neck muscles because they are so tight